Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Key concepts in multimodal discourse analysis. Multimodal discourse analysis examines how various communication channels work together to create meaning. Key concepts include modes: visual, auditory, gestural, semiotic resources, color, sound, facial expressions, multimodal ensembles, the combination of modes in a single event, and transduction, transferring meaning across modes. 1. Mode. In multimodal discourse analysis, mode refers to the different channels or ways through which communication occurs. Each mode carries distinct features and contributes uniquely to the overall meaning of a communicative act. Here's a closer look at modes in the context of multimodal analysis. Visual mode includes images, diagrams, charts, and videos. Analyzes aspects like color, composition, size, and spatial arrangement. Used in advertising, infographics, websites, and presentations to convey meaning through visual design. Auditory mode involves sounds, music, and spoken language. Considers tone, pitch, rhythm, and sound effects. Common in podcasts, music, and videos, where auditory elements add emotional and informational layers to the content. Gestural mode includes body language, facial expressions, and gestures. Focuses on movements, postures, and facial cues that convey meaning. Important in interpersonal communication, presentations, and video content. Spatial mode relates to the physical arrangement of elements in a given space, such as layout, proximity, and direction. Analyzes how spatial arrangement influences interpretation, like the layout of a web page or the seating arrangement in a meeting. Linguistic mode concerns spoken and written language, including grammar, vocabulary, and structure. Analyzes how language is used to create meaning, whether in text, speeches, or dialogue. Tactile mode involves touch and physical interaction. Relevant in the design of tactile interfaces or braille, and in conveying information through touch in certain contexts. Importance of modes in multimodal discourse analysis. Interplay between modes. Meaning often emerges from the interplay between different modes. For instance, a news broadcast involves visual, auditory, and linguistic modes that work together to convey the news. Cultural and social context. Modes are influenced by cultural norms and social contexts. Understanding the use of each mode requires considering the context in which communication takes place. Dynamic communication. Modern communication often involves multiple modes simultaneously, such as a social media post that includes text, images, and emojis. Understanding the concept of mode in multimodal discourse analysis is crucial for analyzing the full complexity of human communication. Each mode brings its unique features to the table, contributing to how messages are constructed and interpreted. 2. Semiotic resources. In multimodal discourse analysis, semiotic resources refer to the tools available within different modes that are used to convey meaning. Each mode has its own set of resources that help shape communication, allowing for a rich, layered understanding of a message. 1. Examples of semiotic resources in different modes. Visual resources. Color can evoke emotions, highlight important elements, or symbolize specific meanings, e.g., red for urgency or passion. Layout. The arrangement of visual elements on a page or screen, influencing readability and focus. Typography. The style and appearance of printed text, affecting tone and emphasis. Imagery. Use of photos, illustrations, or graphics that convey ideas or emotions. Auditory resources. Tone and pitch. The quality and variation in sound that can change the meaning of spoken words. Rhythm and pace. The speed and flow of spoken language or music, affecting the emotional impact. Sound effects. non-musical sounds that enhance the understanding of an environment or action. Gestural resources, facial expressions, movements of facial muscles that convey emotions and reactions. Hand movements, gestures that can emphasize points or express specific ideas, e.g., pointing, waving. Body posture, the stance and positioning of the body that can reflect attitude or state. Spatial resources, proximity, the physical closeness or distance between elements or people, indicating relationships or importance. Orientation and direction, the way objects or people face or move, suggesting movement or relationships. Linguistic resources, vocabulary and grammar, choice of words and sentence structure that convey specific meanings. Metaphors and figurative language, language that conveys deeper meaning beyond the literal sense. Tactile resources, texture, the feel of a surface that can influence perception, e.g., rough or smooth. Pressure and temperature, variations in touch that can convey sensations or feedback. 2. Importance of semiotic resources in multimodal discourse analysis. Understanding complex communication. By analyzing semiotic resources, researchers can decipher the layered meanings in multimodal communication. Cultural contexts. The meaning of semiotic resources can vary significantly across cultures, so understanding context is crucial. Intermodal synergy. Semiotic resources from different modes often work together to create a cohesive message, so it's important to study them holistically. Semiotic resources provide the building blocks for meaning in multimodal discourse. Understanding how these resources are used across different modes enables a comprehensive analysis of modern communications' complexities and nuances. 4. Multimodal ensemble. A multimodal ensemble refers to the combination and orchestration of various modes within a single communicative event or artifact. It emphasizes how different modes, such as text, images, sound, and gestures, come together to create a cohesive meaning that is more than just the sum of its parts. 1. Characteristics of a multimodal ensemble. Integration of multiple modes. A multimodal ensemble combines various modes like linguistic, visual, auditory, and gestural resources. The modes interact and complement each other to reinforce or elaborate the overall message. Contextual meaning. The meaning of each mode is influenced by its context, and the ensemble takes on different interpretations depending on the setting, audience, and purpose. For example, a political speech on television, text, visual, and auditory modes may be interpreted differently than the same speech in print, text mode only. Synergy between modes. The interaction between modes creates a synergy where the combined effect is more powerful or meaningful than any single mode alone. A visual illustration in an educational video, for instance, can make a complex concept easier to understand when combined with an explanatory voiceover. Dynamic relationships. The roles of different modes can vary, with some being more dominant than others depending on the context. A social media post, for instance, may rely more heavily on images than text to convey a message. Temporal and spatial arrangements. In multimedia content like videos or presentations, the temporal arrangement, timing, of visuals and audio adds to the multimodal ensemble. The spatial arrangement of elements in printed media or web pages also influences how the ensemble is perceived. 2. Importance of multimodal ensembles in discourse analysis. Holistic understanding. Analyzing a multimodal ensemble allows for a comprehensive understanding of how different communicative modes contribute to the overall message. Cultural and social influence. The combination and prominence of different modes in an ensemble reflect cultural and social norms, which is important for understanding context. Adaptability. Recognizing the multimodal ensemble helps in adapting communication strategies for different media, ensuring effective conveyance of messages. 3. Examples of multimodal ensembles. News broadcasts. Combine video, audio, text, and graphics to deliver news stories in a comprehensive manner. Social media posts. Often integrate text, images, and videos to engage audiences in a multifaceted way. Educational materials. Use combinations of text, visuals, and audio to enhance learning experiences. Understanding multimodal ensembles is crucial for interpreting how different modes work together in complex ways to produce meaningful communication. 5. Transduction. Transduction refers to the process of transferring or transforming meaning across different modes. In the context of multimodal discourse analysis, this involves shifting information, concepts, or meanings from one semiotic mode, like text, to another, like visuals or sounds, maintaining the core message while adapting to the affordances of each mode. 1. Characteristics of transduction. Mode-specific adaptation. Different modes have unique properties and constraints, so when transducing meaning from one mode to another, adjustments are necessary. For example, converting text into images involves distilling textual details into visual symbols that capture the same message. Maintaining core meaning. The goal of transduction is to preserve the core meaning or message despite the shift in mode. This requires understanding both the source and target modes to ensure the intended meaning remains intact. Enhancing communication. Transduction can enhance communication by making information more accessible or impactful through the strengths of the target mode. For instance, complex scientific data might be easier to understand when transduced into a chart or infographic. Contextual sensitivity. The effectiveness of transduction depends on the context in which it is used. The choice of mode and its adaptation should align with the audience's expectations and the communication goal. 2. Examples of transduction. Text to visual. Translating a written description into a diagram or illustration that conveys the same concept visually. Visual to text. Converting a graph or chart into a descriptive paragraph that explains the visual data. Text to audio. Turning a written script into a spoken podcast, adjusting language and tone for audio delivery. Audio to text. Transcribing a spoken speech into written text, maintaining the speaker's tone and emphasis through punctuation and language. 3. Importance of transduction in multimodal discourse analysis. Adaptability in communication. Transduction allows for the same information to be adapted across different modes, making it more accessible and engaging for varied audiences. Critical for media translation. In media translation, it ensures that messages are adapted appropriately when moving from one form of media to another, e.g., adapting a novel into a film. Enhances understanding. By transforming information into different modes, transduction can make complex ideas easier to understand and interpret. Understanding transduction is crucial for analyzing how meaning is preserved or altered across different modes, which is vital for effective multimodal communication. Conclusion. Understanding these key concepts in multimodal discourse analysis is essential to comprehend how diverse communication channels interact to shape meaning. This approach reveals the intricate layers of meaning that emerge from the combination of multiple modes in communication. Frequently asked questions. What does the term mode refer to in multimodal discourse analysis? In multimodal discourse analysis, mode refers to different channels of communication, such as visual, e.g., images, text layout, auditory, e.g., speech, music, and gestural, e.g., facial expressions, body language. How are semiotic resources used in multimodal discourse analysis? Semiotic resources are the tools available within different modes to convey meaning. These include elements like color, layout, typography, sound, and facial expressions that are analyzed to understand how they contribute to the overall message. What is a multimodal ensemble, and why is it important? A multimodal ensemble is the combination of various modes within a single communicative event. It's important because it allows researchers to study how different modes work together to create and enhance meaning. How does transduction play a role in multimodal discourse analysis? Transduction is the process of transferring meaning across different modes. It plays a role in multimodal discourse analysis by showing how a message can be transformed and adapted when moving from one mode to another, such as from text to speech. Why is the concept of mode crucial in multimodal discourse analysis? The concept of mode is crucial because it helps identify the different ways information is conveyed. Understanding the specific characteristics of each mode allows for a comprehensive analysis of how they interact to produce meaning. Can you give an example of semiotic resources in multimodal communication? An example of semiotic resources is the use of color and font style in a PowerPoint presentation. The color scheme and typography can emphasize points or create a specific mood, contributing to the overall communication of the message. How does a multimodal ensemble differ from individual modes? While individual modes focus on specific channels like text or sound, a multimodal ensemble examines how these modes combine in a single context to create a richer, more nuanced form of communication. What are some challenges of analyzing transduction in multimodal discourse? Challenges include the complexity of tracing meaning shifts across modes, the subjective nature of interpreting transformations, and the potential loss of meaning when transducing between modes. Why is it important to understand semiotic resources in different modes? Understanding semiotic resources in different modes is important because it reveals the specific tools and techniques that contribute to meaning making, helping researchers interpret the nuances of multimodal communication. How does a multimodal ensemble enhance communication? A multimodal ensemble enhances communication by allowing different modes to complement and reinforce each other, making the message more engaging, persuasive, and easier to understand. In what contexts is transduction particularly significant? Transduction is significant in contexts where information needs to be adapted across modes, such as in education, text to video, marketing, print to digital media, or translation, verbal to visual. How do semiotic resources vary across different modes? Semiotic resources vary across modes by offering unique tools for meaning making. For example, visual modes use elements like color and layout, while auditory modes use pitch and tone, each contributing distinctively to communication. How can researchers analyze multimodal ensembles effectively? Researchers can analyze multimodal ensembles effectively by examining the interplay between modes, considering the context, and understanding the purpose behind the use of each mode to see how they collectively convey meaning. What skills are needed to analyze transduction in multimodal discourse? Skills needed include an understanding of the characteristics of different modes, the ability to track meaning across transformations, and a sensitivity to the nuances of how meaning is adapted between modes. How has digital technology impacted the use of semiotic resources in multimodal discourse? Digital technology has expanded the range and accessibility of semiotic resources, allowing for more dynamic, interactive, and diverse modes of communication, which has enriched the analysis of multimodal discourse.